Today we will be covering the organelles of eukaryotic cells. Well, first off, what separates a eukaryotic cell from a prokaryotic cell? Eukaryotic cells contain a membrane-bound nucleus, while prokaryotic cells do not. Eukaryotic organisms are usually multicellular, while most prokaryotes are unicellular. An example of prokaryotic cells would include archaea and bacteria, while plants and animals are eukaryotic. A eukaryote is an organism whose cells contain complex structures contained within membranes, or organelles, which is what we'll be focusing on today. The cell membrane. This is what separates the cytoplasm of the cell and all of its organelles from the external environment. It consists of a selectively permeable lipid bilayer that controls the movement of substances in and out of the cell.
So I wanted to talk a little more about this cellular membrane, or this phospholipid bilayer. The membrane is made up of two layers of lipid molecules that form a flat continuous barrier like you see in most pictures of cellular membranes. And they can do that because of this. A lipid is made up of two parts. We have a hydrophilic or water-loving head and two hydrophobic or water-hating tails. So what happens is, because of this, when phospholipids are exposed to water, they will arrange themselves to form this two-layer membrane, the center of which will contain absolutely no water. Now, this is how a cell can separate itself from its surroundings and how it can regulate the transport of ions and proteins and other molecules in and out of the cell.
The nucleus, or the home of the genetic material and the cell's central command center. It is here that DNA replication and RNA processing occurs. It is enclosed in a nuclear envelope that acts as a barrier to prevent the passage of molecules between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. The mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. This organelle is essential to making chemical energy available to the cell by performing ATP synthesis. It consists of an inner and outer layer, and the inner layer contains the enzyme that's required for the synthesis of ATP. Lysosomes you can think of as the cleanup crew of the cell. They contain digestive enzymes and are dispersed throughout the cytoplasm. They can digest and break down old cellular components which could otherwise interfere with proper cell function. When a cell dies, the lysosome membrane itself breaks down, releasing the digestive enzyme into the cytoplasm where it breaks down the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum is important in the synthesis of proteins and some lipids. It can also function as a transport system to get materials from one part of the cell to the other. It is made up essentially of two parts. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum, just as the name suggests, has a smooth appearance and is the primary site of steroid, phospholipid, and fatty acid metabolism. The rough endoplasmic reticulum has a more granular surface due to the presence of ribosomes. These ribosomes serve as the site of protein synthesis and are found both on the rough ER and in the cytoplasm. The Golgi apparatus. You can think of the Golgi as a factory for packaging the proteins made by the endoplasmic reticulum. This organelle processes, sorts, and modifies proteins before they are secreted by the cell. The centrosome. This organelle consists of two hollow cylindrical centrioles, and it plays a crucial role in mitotic cell division. There are some organelles specific to plants that include the cell wall. This is located outside the cell membrane, and it's a tough but flexible structure that provides plant cells with structural support and protection and acts as a filtering system as well. Vacuoles. As much as 90% of the volume of a plant cell may be occupied by a vacuole. It is a large storage organelle that contains and stores water, salts, food, and pigments. The vacuole, because of its size, also helps maintain cell rigidity. Chloroplast. This is the organelle responsible for photosynthesis, and its function is to generate metabolic activity. They have their own genetic material and perform protein synthesis. So we've covered some of the major organelles, although not nearly all of them, as you can see. This was an introduction to eukaryotic cell organelles and their functions.